phases. So the human body is designed to maintain itself through different regulatory centers it has in the brain, and the organ systems that we have. It will maintain this equilibrium all the time. And how does it maintain it? A negative, mainly, or a positive feedback system. Okay, because we were you last week.
I had the flu.
For God's sake, you start off as a commercial. The corona flu? It's a lot worse than they tell you. When you read the specs on CDC, it's a lot. Good chance that it's going to be all over the United States in the next few weeks.
Isn't there already a case here?
Yeah, there's 3 cases.
There's like 3,
Well, they're not sure. I think the newsletters from now, they're not sure. First of all, they don't know how to diagnose it on the stage yet, so. And there's no true, and one of the corporations involved, the thing's already pulled the vaccine for it, so. And it's nothing but a variant of SARS. So we have a vaccine for SARS, so we're working against that one. It's the protein coat that a vaccine is, and they're all the same. So it's a big family of coronavirus. And in a healthy individual, it would just be the common cold. And somebody with a suppressed immune system, it becomes pneumonia, and that's what makes it so hard to treat it. So if you don't have a suppressed immune system, wash it. Takes it off what? Washington by doing that. You understand? Okay. So back to homeostasis. So variables. So what would be one variable? Blood sugar, body temperature, blood volume. So what do we mean by negative feedback? You work in the opposite direction of what's happening. If blood sugars are high, we're going to lower them. If they're low, we're going to raise them. Blood pressure's high, we're going to lower it. That's what we mean by negative feedback. The rooms that we're in here with temperature control are negative feedback systems. If it's cold, temperature will rise. If it's hot, temperature will lower through air conditioning. So these are negative feedback loops. So that's what you gotta understand. Almost everything we talk about in the human body, other than a couple of things, will be through a negative feedback. And you got 3 things: a receptor and a control center. You need something to know what's going on, and then a control sensor to respond to it, and then you have to have your effect. It's kind of common sense, stuff you kind of already know without realizing it. So that's going to monitor the stimulus. So what would be the monitor if it was blood sugar? It'd be your blood. Receptors in the blood would realize blood sugars are low. So what would happen if blood sugars are high?
Good insulin.
So what's the body going to do? It's going to stimulate receptors where? In the pancreas to secrete out insulin into the blood to lower it. And that would be the effect. After the receptor would start it, then the control center would be the pancreas, and then you would lower the blood sugars. So that's what you mean by that. Understand? So the blood, the sensors in the blood to pick up it's high. So now you stimulate the pancreas to secrete insulin. So certain cells are going to start secreting out insulin. Insulin goes into circulation. What is insulin going to do? What is insulin? Everybody have an idea what it is? Come on, people who had it before. Let's go right here. The front row. You had fizz. You had. Come on, let's go. What is it?
Question.
What's it do?
What?
What's it do? How's it help with blood sugars? We'll be getting to this shortly. So how's it work?
I can't remember.
Yeah, but how's it reduce that? We know that. But that's not medicine. Physiologically, what's it doing? You're supposed to know that. Some of you have had this before. So we'll see if second time around we get this answer right, so we get it right on the test. It's going to carry glucose across the membrane, right? To get it in the cell. If glucose stays in the blood, it doesn't do any good for you. Why do we need the glucose to go in the cell?
ATP.
Who said that? 100% right. ATP. Exactly. We're going to break it down to ATP. That's how we make energy. Staying in the blood isn't doing any good. The body's not metabolizing anything to its cells. And if anything, a high dose of glucose flowing around the blood is knocking off pH. It's knocking off a lot of things. So it's not helping us. So it's bringing down other systems in the body. So you see how each system has to rely on the next to work. Like I said, the only system we can live without is the reproduction. Right. Maybe some people can't live without that either. Okay, and then the effect would be what takes place. So response would either be positive or negative. So what do we mean by a positive feedback loop? I'm not going to keep going through this. We already did this. So what do we mean by a positive feedback system?
Goes in the same direction.
Right, so here's an imbalance set. So this is this wonderful stupid curve that we're doing. So in other words, what we're trying to do is keep this balance. So they use the temperature, I believe, on this one. So they go up and down on both sides. So if you're too hot, what's the body going to do?
Sweat.
It's going to sweat. The sweat's going to cool it down. Push it off. It releases the cause of the skin toxins also to get out, and it's going to help, cool the body down. Cold, the body would do what when it's cold?
Shiver.
It shivers. What's shivering do?
Lift it up.
How's that make you warm?
Your muscles.
The what?
Something to do with your muscles?
Right, the muscles are contracting, and when muscles contract, so what is the byproduct of producing energy? What is one of your ways that gives off besides water? Heat. Heat is one of the byproducts of ATP production, so there you go, so the body warms. So we're going to go through all this. We're just blowing through it quick on you right now, but we will hit this and go through it at a much slower pace so we don't have heart attacks. Just understand what negative feedback means versus positive feedback. Positive feedback system would be who's had a baby. How many have had a baby in here? Yeah. Can you stop it from happening? It doesn't stop until it's done. That's what it means. That hormone is just going to keep blowing out until that uterus spits out what's going to come out. And the uterus doesn't get tired. You do. The fetus does, but that doesn't. And if you're not dilating, it's still going to keep contracting and pounding onto the fetus. So that's a positive. And blood clot, the forms of platelet flow. So those two things are forms of positive feedback. Also with the nervous system, and the potassium channels are rushing to fire the nerve, remember? The curve. And the muscle contraction, that's all positive feedback. Because you're going along the same direction until you finally shut it off and get a certain threshold of 30 millivolts. So you're going to see this, so understand the difference between positive versus negative. Negative, you're going to opposite direction of what's happening. Positive, you're going towards a direction to enhance it further and further. So there's your difference. So the body does have things that go positive, not many though. Because if my blood pressure was going high, we'll just make it higher. Well, that'd be wonderful. If we want to stroke the person out and get rid of them, that'd be a perfect thing. But let's push that blood pressure to something explodes finally in the body that it can't take it. Okay, so, and then this just is an example of it. Platelet clot forming, so don't lose sleep over it. So it would be a sign of homeostasis and balance. Heart failure. When you're having a heart attack. Why would that be an imbalance? Oxygen is being deprived to the tissue. And without that, can't make ATP. Tissue dies. The person dies. So it's very important. So think of a diabetic. What happens to them if their sugars just keep going out of control? They go into metabolic acidosis, they go comatose. And if you don't bring that balance back, you're going to lose it. Okay, so everything's important. All right, so now next thing is we're going to go to the next set of slides. We have a little more anatomy in this than this stuff, which may be a little happier on the show. So, first of all, you kind of have to understand certain anatomical terms. There's like a few hundred to a lot of root words. And how many are familiar with that? You all better know that. How many have had this before? Come on, other than the, how many have had some kind of biology in the last 2 years? All right, so you're going to be familiar with anatomy. What do I mean by anatomical? What does myo mean? M-Y-O?
Muscle.
Muscle, nerve, okay? Sight, cell. That's what I'm talking about. So if you want, and there's a chapter in the book that has that broken down. So you need a glossary of these terms. If not, it's on black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put it there.
You did.
You did last.
I did last time. I don't know if I did this. I forget.
I think it's still there.
If it is, it's usually under the course outline. If not, it'll get posted up there today. It's like 4 pages of root words. And what these root words do, if you understand them, it's like, can you pass a foreign language without ever learning the vocabulary?
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. You can find our own way of doing it, but I'm not saying that's the right way to do it. But think about it. Would you get an A in your foreign language if you don't bother learning the vocab? No, you have no idea what they're saying. They don't know how to tense the damn thing. Well, same thing with this. This is a foreign language, people. And the anatomy part of it is a foreign language. All memory. The physiology part is all conceptual. And maybe in a few years, when this thing's running a while, it'll start to make sense even to the professors. Because you know what a mind game this is to be doing this, the next period, I'm lecturing on the physiology of the heart. So it's like, yay. And then lab today is all chemistry. So it's like, shit. It's like totally all different directions your brain's being pulled in as the professor. Because Betsy and I were just talking about lab. I said, that's right, damn, they do the pH and the catalase. I said,
I
yeah,
hated that.
that boring lab. Huh? Yeah, you had to play with the liver. Don't need it this time. All right. So, in other words, it's just like, so anatomical position would always mean the body would be laying on its back with the palms facing up, thumbs facing out. This is anatomical position. So you always take, that's the position we're talking about, unless I tell you differently when I'm asking you descriptiveness of the body on your first test. And you break it down, the first test mainly is this, which isn't bad. But, you know, the chemistry, you're either going to like it, or you don't. And then we do the cell. Yay. You know, we stop with tissues, I believe, on this first test. That's as far as we go. That's how it works, okay? So, stop. So, superior cranial would mean head end. Let's put this in your language that you understand. Because on a multiple guess test, like I say, multiple guess, you should be able to guess the right answer. So the first 13, 14 questions of the test is this stuff. It's not rocket science, people. Plus the other crap that we're talking about. So the first chapter is like, it's really not that challenging. Regardless if it was anatomy, physiology, or general bio, they're all similar chapters. Okay? So you have to start somewhere with a foundation. So inferior or caudal is towards the tail end or towards your inferior end, towards your feet. Because we don't have a tail. So you're just going in the opposite direction of the head. That's all it means. Then you have anterior ventral, which is your front surface, posterior dorsal, which is your back surface. So So when you're describing things from now on, try to use these terms in your head every day. And it's, nobody cares about your shoulder pain. Every
I pushed
day.
it in a funny way. Felt weird.
Understand. It's like deja vu class. Sitting here. And then I get them again next period because I had them and now I got them again. It's like, yay.
Listen, you knew this was gonna happen.
But do you got this, you think we can get this right away? So let's use an example. Everybody has an idea of cervical thoracic lumbar, right? We all kind of understand that concept. What would be the relationship of the cervical spine to the thoracic spine? I'm looking at these four terms. What would you use to describe it? Superior, exactly. If we said the thoracic spine in relation to the cervical spine.
Inferior.
Inferior. The sternum in relation to the thoracic spine.
Anterior.
Anterior. Thoracic spine in relationship to the sternum.
Posterior.
Posterior. See the way I just thought of questions? You can do the same thing when you study. If you literally would look at the notes and write questions from it and study that way, you can get it. Other than just putting it in here and throwing it back up on a test, but not really knowing what the hell you're throwing out. Because when you become a nurse someday, you're going to have to know what you're doing.
So when you said like the sternum,
Sternum sits in front of the
spine,
thoracic spine, right?
would it be like, could it also be like superficial, or is that like
No,
relating to the
no,
skin?
because they both would be similar, right under the skin. So if I brought in, but we're not there yet, so we're going to go to that. So I'm jumping ahead, because you know the story already. Medial, lateral, forget it. That's medial, lateral. So medial is closest to the midline, lateral furthest from the midline. So again, what's the most lateral thing on your head? Your ears. What would be the most medial thing on your face? Your nose. So what's the relationship of the nose to the ears? It's medial, right? The relationship of the ears to the nose, lateral. So let's use it to our hand. See if we can do this. The relationship of the thumb to the pinky in anatomical position would be what? Medial, lateral, superior, inferior, what would you call it? Lateral. And the pinky would be medial. Okay, see how easy you got that? How come the day of the test you don't? Same damn question will be asked.
Stress.
Oh, stress. Stress.
Yeah.
How many have taken that test you take to go to
Has he?
How many
Not
have done
yet.
that? How many have done well?
Which has to
The first one.
The first
Like
one
to
you
get
take
into
to get
the
into
nursing
nursing.
program.
be?
That has, that's the biggest thing they use, you know. You have a B in anatomy and ace the Hesse, and someone else got an A in anatomy and did lousy on the Hesse, you get in over them.
Yeah.
Why do you think? Because they know by you taking that test and doing well, there's parts of the test that they look at, can you reason stuff out? Or you just memorize it? And if you can reason stuff out, people, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And being this AP1 and AP2 stuff has shifted so much, there's a million Bs in very few A's. So a lot of B students are going to get in first time in history for the next year or two. Until the cheating goes around and everybody gets through the tests and stuff. And then you just get through it because you only can change these things so much. You know, that's the other thing. That's why you don't get your exams back. Because you only can change your questions so much in this stuff. It's not like genetics where it changes by the day. This stuff doesn't. It's the same damn thing it was 50 years ago. So I don't know what, you know why they write new books to make money for their pieces. Okay? So we're good with this stuff so far. So these first 6 terms, easy. So why do we have proximal and distal? Because you could say, well, my elbow is superior to my hand. Or my knee is superior to my ankle, correct? No. What happens if you're upside down? Then that doesn't apply. Or if you're laying down, that doesn't apply, does it? You follow what I'm saying? So by using proximal and distal, closest attachment point to the body, furthest attachment point from the body. No matter if you're laying down, upside down, whatever, it don't make a difference. It's still always going to be proximal or distal. So the most proximal thing of the extremity is the shoulder or the hip. And the most distal thing will be the hand and the foot. Correct? So now that we get that in our minds, let's throw the knee and elbow in there. What is the relationship of the elbow to the wrist? Proximal or distal?
Proximal.
I hear so much like
Proximal.
proximal, right? What is closer to the body attachment, the wrist or the elbow?
Elbow.
The elbow, so it's proximal. If I was to say, what's the relationship of the ankle to the knee, you would say
Distal.
distal. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So how you grasp this, you look in the mirror. Go over these terms, looking at yourself in the mirror. If you don't like what you're looking, then put a mask on your face. If you don't like what you're seeing. But just, well, we're not looking if we're fat or not. We're looking at where the body parts are, okay? So we're not judging. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
So think about stuff when you're thinking about it. Distal's further, proximal's closest. And that's it. Just think of it that way. Which closer? And you got it. And the one that's mentioned first is what you're talking about. So you're thinking of that one. Not the second term, the first term.
Can you give another example?
All right? What would be the relationship of the elbow to the shoulder?
Distal.
Elbow to the shoulder.
Distal.
Distal. Elbow's further. I was asking about the elbow. That came first. I didn't say, what's the relationship of the shoulder to the elbow? Then you would say, oh, okay, proximal. Are you understanding that?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. I know someone feels you're not getting it. You just sit there, nobody really likes it, but people think, that's 70% of the class. That's why they're sitting here. I'm mean.
Vacation was supposed to make you nice, you know.
Yeah, then you come back to work and it's like you're going on vacation. So
That's true.
All right, so here's what she was talking about, superficial versus deep. So skeletal will kind of be the same throughout, like the sternum to the thoracic spine would be the same. So what is the most superficial thing on our body? Skin, right? That makes sense. So anything to that would be deep. So what's the heart's relationship to the skin? A deep. And the skin's relationship to the heart?
Superficial.
Superficial. So don't lose sleep over it. You'll get one question on it. So if you miss that, you get 99 more to take. So you understand? The best thing, you got a question, you gotta know, go over it. You go to the next one. Don't hang up on a question that might blow your whole mind. It's like the math test, right? First you come, you don't know what shit about. It's like, damn. Then you get the question, you don't know about that one. So now you're done. Because you might only have 10 problems. But in here, you got a bunch of questions. And you're going to know. You should know, just by sitting in here and listening, 50% of the test. Never mind studying, but just listening to it. Now, studying is how we're going to work. Do I want an A, or B, or a C? Do I like taking this over and over again? You know, maybe my 5th time. You're going out 5 times. Years ago,
This is
you
the
were.
last time I'll see you next term in AP2.
And summer session, I'm doing AP2 first. Session 1, I'm doing AP2. Session 1, AP1. That's stupid, but that's the way I.
Are you doing AP2 the second? There's 2 semesters in
No, I'm doing
summer.
session 1.
Session 1.
Yeah. Session. Benson's doing session 2. Just to tell you, it's been running through the summer.
Yeah.
1 and 2 will be running both sections.
So
Okay.
you're only doing.
I'll do session 2 in the beginning. In July, session 1.
Okay.
So AP1.
Okay.
Yes, it's asked backwards, but I didn't set up the schedule.
Okay.
They do it, whatever the president sits down that way. So we good with this stuff? Proximal, distal? Okay? Ooh, good. All right. So then we have the axial and appendicular skeleton. Axial is your sentence system, which would be your skull, right? The cranial region. So, head, neck, and trunk. It'd be all the spine. So it'd be the cervical, thoracic, lumbar. How about ribs and sternum? Will we put that with axial?
Yes.
Yeah, 'cause it's the trunk. It's the
What?
trunk.
There'd be axial. So appendicular makes sense, your arms and your legs, right? So does everybody know what a clavicle is? Where would you put that? Would that go with axial or would that go with appendicular?
Axial?
Axial?
I can't
It's not
remember.
Axial? Yeah. Okay, why? You go with axial, why?
Because it's not.
Give me a reason.
It's the trunk? Well, no, it would go with appendicular.
Does it help the trunk do anything or does it help the
That helps
shoulder
your
move?
arm, yeah.
So it's appendicular.
And there you go. If it helps the shoulder move, then it's appendicular. Think about it if you're not sure. So if you understand kind of what it does, because you kind of do know it, you can't get tricked. I only can trick those who don't know it and think they know. And for those taking it for the second time, let me tell you, you're going to look at stuff and say, I know that. You probably do on the surface. But if we go into detail, do you know it? Or can I trick you?
So anything that helps like muscles move would be appendicular.
Ribs move.
Yeah.
Right? You can breathe, the ribs move. Oh, the
Anything that
cervical
helps
spine
the
doesn't
limbs
move?
Anything that
It helps the limbs move, yes. That's a better way of thinking about it. Okay? So we'll break it down further. This is fun. And then this is the regions of the body that they have names. You know, that we give names to it and say, we look at that stuff on your own, you're not going to get beat up. But what's behind the knee? The popliteal fossa. And what's the elbow? Right here. The cubital, right? Cubital fossa, antecubital. So there's names for things. Brachial means what? Brachial. What's that mean? Arm. No, arm. The brachial, right? Brachial plexus, the plexus, right? Arm. So that's the point. If you understand what the terms mean, which is out of your zoological group words, it makes sense to you. So as soon as you read the term, you kind of have a visualization what it is already, before you even have to get the detail down. That's why I'm just getting this in your head. We're laying the foundation. Put the foundation down right, everything works fine. Put the foundation down wrong, it never works right. You never swing a golf club right from the beginning, you're never going to correct. Or a bat, or a tennis racket. Whatever. If you never swing it right from the beginning because you just did it your own way, with no form, it's not going to work. And then it's very hard to fix it once you've done it wrong for a long time. That's the point I'm getting across to you. And this foundation stuff of chemistry and fusion, this is going to play a big role even in AP2. It comes back. It doesn't go away. The vagus nerve will come back. Phrenic nerve come back. They come back. So you don't learn it and forget it. So I don't need that. I learned about that, but I don't need it. Because we're done with that chapter. I can forget about it now. Oh, but I put you on a cardiac care unit in your first rotation. Good thing you didn't have to keep that in your mind, how the heart works, huh? You get where I'm going with this? Learn, here's the key. Learn this to know it, that I don't hurt somebody someday. And if you put that in your mind while you're studying this stuff, the grade will come with it. But the most important thing is, do you know this so you don't hurt somebody someday and you don't screw up? There's a lot of screw ups and they go to the cemetery, so there's a secret. They can keep the secret because they bury it. And it goes on every day in hospitals. People that are working there see it all the time. And there's some people you see that's like, oh my God, how the hell they ever get there? I'm struggling with this course. They cheated. cheat, you only hurt yourself and other people. So then we're gonna cut the body into sagittal, frontal, and transverse planes. Let's go right in here. And let's use our own definitions, because it makes life easier instead of using theirs. When I do a coronal cut or a frontal cut, that means I'm cutting you that I have a front, an anterior, and a posterior section. Straight through like this. And the suture right here is called coronal suture. So you should remember coronal suture, coronal cut. Then I'm cutting you right down this way, then I have a front and a back. So we're cutting the tree like that, boom, the front falls that way, the back falls this way. If I do a sagittal, I don't know how to call it inside, just sagittal cut, which is easy enough. Sagittal, right here, you get a suture called a sagittal suture, and that's going to separate you to a right and left half. So I split you this way. And if I do a transverse or cross cut, I'm cutting you that I have a superior and an inferior. And this is done all the time in non-invasive diagnostic diagnostic ways of figuring out what's wrong with people, which would be X-rays, MRIs, CT scans. When you read an MRI, it'll tell you what view you're looking at while you're reading it. And when you're reading is a description, and you should visualize everything you read. So in other words, like on a practical, does it go the way you write stuff? Yes and no. But the point is, when I read it, I should visualize what I was asking you. And if I can't, then it makes no sense to me, then it can't be right. So when you read an X-ray or blood report, it should make sense to you that you can visualize what is happening in the body, because you don't have it in front of you right now. You're going by this piece of paper in front of you. Can I visualize what the radiologist is trying to get across to you? That's why you learn all these terms and all these views. Okay? I know it's like, so you're so good because you knows it. Well, yeah, well, you know it because you do it all the time. And that's what you got to do. That's why becoming a CNA is smart, because you're kind of working with this stuff. Versus people that, I don't know what you're doing, working in Walmart right now. You may not even like being a nurse. Have you touched people? Oh no, I can't stand touching people. How are you going to be a nurse? I hate people. That's a good career then. You'll take care of them while they're dying. Don't bother you when they die. But you get the point, you might be doing something, thinking this is what you want, and you may hate it. So go get your damn CNA, because it's worth another, what, 12 points?
12 points, yeah.
And go try it. So what the frick, you're kidding me? I ain't just, nursing is one step, a couple of steps, because you're making the decisions. But it's not, if you look at it this way, how much is it worth to get paid to be sworn at, kicked, be pushed, bled on, shit on, peed on? That's what a nurse is.
Yep.
Doctors don't deal with that, the nurse does.
My mom says if you can't wipe an ass, don't go to class.
She's right. Your mom's a nurse, I would assume.
Yeah.
But she just looks just an ass wipe.
That's me.
No, you don't start out as the head nurse giving orders.
No.
You start at the bottom of the totem pole where you start off with shitty hours, working holidays, nights, weekends.
Getting the
life
worst
goes.
patients.
If you want to make a living at it, your life is going to go. You don't start off making $100,000 a year. That's all per diem shifts, working your ass off. Your money will come over time. It's like any career. You don't start at the top. Unless you own a hospital, I'm the boss, It's not likely. So here we go again, showing you the sagittal cut. And then what's this? The coronal cut, the transverse cut. Okay? Then we have body cavities. You have the dorsal and the ventral. Here's what you're going to do. After you scribble all this stuff down, then you go home and you rewrite your notes in a nice outline form that makes sense to you. Because as you're rewriting it, you're studying it. And things that are pictures to learn, you get blank pictures and just keep labeling. Over and over again, and it will sink in. The handwriting reflex eventually will sink into here, and you will get it. Those are the ways of studying this stuff. not just reading it. Just reading through it, no. Then if a week or so before the test, you get a study guide. Now you take your good notes and you put them to your study guide. And you make a whole new set of notes and you just focus that heavy for your test. But if you know all this by the end of this week, you know it. Cut your study time. As the course goes on, you're going to start realizing I don't need 3 hours a day anymore into it. Hour and a half is plenty. Because once you understand the basics of everything, it just gets reused over and over again in different areas of the body. And I drag the beginning a bit so I get this point across to you. The key is right, and you know, go to the slice and they'll show you how to write notes. They'll help you with it. But don't wait until like the day before the test. Oh, I studied so hard, I studied 7 hours. Well, that's the only thing you studied all semester. Okay, 7 hours. That's not enough. That's called cramming. Yes, if it's a little menial course that means nothing, history, yeah, cram it in. We don't even tell you because you don't have time for it. But if it's your major, which this is, you don't cram your major. This is your major till you get to nursing. The human body, you're learning about it. What are you going to work on? Chairs? Car engines? No, you're working on people. So think about it. And if you don't really, this sucks, that means you're going into the wrong career. If you don't like learning, look, you should be so hungry that you want to talk and understand the talk. When I was in God, I couldn't wait to learn this stuff. I never had a fear, am I going to pass it? Maybe an A or B, but never a fear below that. Because I knew I would put that effort in because I really wanted to know it. Then as you go further along, I really want to know it so I don't hurt somebody someday. Do I know it like that? The doctor, I go to, oh, the nurses that at work, do you want a nurse that always do this girl's life? You know, like that commercial for the phone, for the doctor. Well, how's Dr. Son? He's all right. They're like, yeah, he's all right. And he comes in and goes, guess what? I got my license back. Remember? He goes,
yeah.
He goes, you're nervous? So am I. But we'll figure it out when we get in there. Is that what you want your surgeon to say to you someday?
Keep me on my toes.
And if it's your first time doing it, you don't tell the patient that. Like I was watching that on, I forget what, one of these medical shows. Well, I've done it on a lot of mannequins. Well, it's not the same. Human being to a man, not the same. You know, those dolls that you practice on. But you don't tell them. Oh, yeah. You know, right away you're going to make them nervous, so they're going to tense up. And it's not as easy to do something on someone who's tense compared to when they're relaxed. Even though inside you're dying.
Can't show it.
Can't show it. First I ever saw when I was an intern on my own was this dislocated shoulder. First thing I had to walk in the room, boom. I'm like, okay. Thought to that, okay, well, you're going to do it, I'm going to, no. Because you're going to do it. I said, yeah. You're going to come, no, I'm not coming in the room with you. You're not, you're going to go in there and you're going to do it. So it's like, all right. So one thing you don't let on, well, I never did this before for real. Just do it. I'm not going to hurt you anyways. The patient asks, does it hurt? Oh no, I won't feel nothing. Don't worry about it. Thanks for asking. So dorsal would be, what do you think dorsal would be, Captain? What could you guess? Let's go easy. What would be the natural term? Let's make it easy.
Dorsal fin, right?
Huh?
Dorsal fin.
Thoracic,
It's the back, right?
chest, and abdomen area. What do you think that's the natural cavities? I hope you're watching that. What else would it be? So what do you think? If that's the ventral, if I show it to you, I'd like to make you think. What's the dorsal?
Dorsal fin. It's your back.
It's your back. All right. So what cavity would be back there?
Yeah,
What?
spine.
Spine. Spinal column, right? Of the core. And where your brain sits, believe it or not, this is the back of the body, in the cranial cavity. So if we go further, cranial cavity encases the brain, see it's telling me, the cerebral cavity encases the spinal cord. Yes, some of you, I'm sure it's boring as hell. All right, but you do get asked questions like this about it. So not everything is going to be hard. It's not. It doesn't really get hard to get some of the chemistry. It's like the bonding and
That gets hard to become.
And I hate it too when I got to teach it. So here we are looking at it. Let's look from the side view. This. So the ventral body cavity would be thoracic, abdominal, pelvic. And the dorsal body cavity would be the spinal column and the cranial cavity. It makes sense. But look when you turn that on an AP view. See, anterior view, lateral view. So start using the terms in your head to make it make sense. All right. Wow, the chest really breaks down. I don't like that. Mediastinum, superior mediastinum, and the pleural cavities. So what cavity does the lung sit in?
Thoracic.
Looking at this picture right now. I better not hit thoracic. What? As I said, I don't want to hit thoracic. I want to hit this thoracic. What cavity does the lung sit in?
Plural.
Pleural. What cavity does the heart sit in? Pericardial and intermediate spinal. You're being specific. Now, if there was no choices there but thoracic, then yes, you'd go with thoracic cavity. But of course, we're never going to make it that easy. It's a matter with you. I'm telling you, I'm never going to do that. I'm not impossible. I'm never going to look. If some of your people might have had, I'm not impossible like that. Some of the new stupid stuff to learn doesn't really make sense where you guys go, so we don't bother with it.
So where did you say that?
I would, the who?
The heart.
The heart would be, so say if you had choice, thoracic cavity, mediastinal cavity, pericardial cavity, you'd go pericardial cavity first. If that wasn't there, and there were just choices of thoracic, mediastinal, you go mediastinal cavity. If those weren't there, then yes, thoracic. You understand? I'm showing you how to break it down. That's all I'm doing. But I would ask mediastinal cavity, that's where it sits. Pleural cavity for lungs. Okay? This is easy. Abdominal, pelvic, well, where's the stomach in the abdomen? Yes, I think you can't mess up. And what's the proper name for this cavity? Peritoneal cavity. Yes? No? So what would be peritoneal? Anybody heard the term peritonitis? The abdomen is the silent is the breathing. That's a word person. So what does that mean, peritonitis?
Inflammation.
Inflammation, usually infection around the intestines and stuff. And they get so bad they don't even move. So when you put a stethoscope, you break it, the bottom of the abdomen becomes as hard as this, and a sign of breathing. The most common cause of the appendix that ruptures.
That's never fun.
No. So itis just means inflammation or infection. So when you put that out, it's so easy. Appendicitis. You get appendix, appendicitis.
Gastritis.
Right? Tendinitis. Arthritis. This means a painful joint. Doesn't mean you have arthritis. You're using that term. Arthralgia, pain of the joint. That's all. So they're just terms. But if you understand it, it makes sense to you compared to having no idea without a peritoneum. Oof. How many times you see the drug commercial? The skin of the perineum can get severely inflamed. It can lead to severe complications. Where's the perineum? Perineum.
Is that your butt?
No.
I was gonna say,
Where's
isn't
the
that
perineal area?
your butt?
It's near your butt. It's the area
In
that
between.
private area.
Yeah.
It's between butt and front. So
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's not the taint.
A peritoneal
It's that.
abscess. I know
Right.
that.
And there's a drug that they show that can cause a problem there. So we have no idea what it was. Is it on my foot? Yeah, it's on your foot. You get my point? So if you just understand, why do I keep saying this? I'm trying to learn the damn root words. If I didn't put them up, they'll be up this afternoon. Just, I see the quizzes on it, they don't go on. So media science, so pleural cavities, moving on. So 2 pleural cavities contains. So what we're going to learn next then is this thing called, you're not learning the next thing, serous membranes. I'm going to jump this in. So we're going to learn by serous membranes. There's the membrane that surround the organs of the body, called the serous membrane. When I make quick jumps, that means I'm not going to ask you that, okay? We already kind of talked about this, so but I don't care about the homeostatic imbalance at this point in time. We'll do that with each system when we get there. So we notice, what does parat mean, this term right here, the AL off it? What does parat mean? It means wall. What does this mean? There you go, it means organ, there you go, that's what I'm asking you. I'm just sitting there, you're like, your 5 eyes on my head. 4. So over there, so this means organ, so that means there's a membrane that's going to surround the organ, and there's a membrane that's going to line the cavity when it sits in, or line the wall. Okay? So, you're the organ. So your shirt would be the viscera. The painting on the wall would be the black. Okay? Simple as that. Keep it simple. And there's a space in there that's filled with fluid. Why? Why do I want some fluid around my lung, around my house? It's a shock absorber. Because it doesn't move. It does. So what happens when you don't put oil on an engine and it's moving? Does the engine finally cease to stop moving? Yes. So if we didn't have this fluid, which would be a viscous fluid, would be a lubricating fluid around our lungs, around our intestine and organs, they would just take your arms and just keep doing this. What's going to eventually happen?
Chafing.
It gets chafed, it gets irritated, it'll bleed. Right. But if we kept lubricating with oil, you keep doing this.
You're good.
Might feel nice, but it doesn't. But you don't get chafed. Okay? I'm saying thing with your organs. You don't want the walls to get chafed because that's not a good thing. I mean, you'll hear a thing in the lung called, whoever heard of pleurisy?
Ooh, I have.
And I'm going to ask her because you have been before. What's that? Inflammation of the wall of the lung. So you don't realize that's how the flu kills young people, because it gets into that wall. So the immune system's compromised a bit, it'll get in there.
Isn't that what this one's doing? That
It's
virus?
but not on everybody.
Not on everybody.
No, I mean,
No.
I think China does this every so often to control population.
I thought that too.
They let a virus
Population
out,
control.
and when it wipes off enough people, then they like get it under control. I hate to say it, but unless you're something that contributes big time to society, there's no need for you. Remember years ago, women, they didn't want it. You only can deduct one female at the family. The others can't, and not that.
Yeah.
So if you have 4 girls, too bad. So it's a society that has no use for anything.
Yeah.
But it's socialism, which is good. All right, so think about this. So when we look at the pericardium, so around the heart, around the peritoneum, around the abdominal canal, so pericardium. So we have this lining around our heart. And when we get to the heart next semester, we get into a condition called pericarditis, inflammation of it. And viruses can get in you and cause endocarditis, inflammation in the inside of the heart, or inflammation here. And if it gets into the pericardium, it's deadening because it starts to squish the heart. It's filling with fluid. And if you get, pleurisy and stuff, what happens when the person goes, every time the person breathes, it's like you're taking your lungs and dragging it over sandpaper. That's how painful each breath.
No.
And those are all infections, and you can get in the abdomen too, peritonitis. So you inflamed these. Something got in there and inflamed it.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all that means. You see pericarditis, pleuritis, or pleurisy.
Mm.
Okay, so it's just taking these terms and adding stuff. But what I want you to realize, this is important. We'll get to that again when we get the tissues and how they're formed. Yes. Okay. And then, look. So in other words, if you took a balloon and you shoved your fist in here, the balloon touching your fist would be the fist. And the balloon that's out here would be the pride. So it's one way of showing it, okay? So there it is. Basically. And the thing is, you can't really, it's very hard to dissect the viscera off and all without damaging the tissue of the organ. So when we first looked at hearts, I don't know whoever did cats before, you were to cut the heart out to see it. You were just cutting through the parietal pericardium, not the viscera. No.
Not this semester.
Not in this, we only go up to muscle.
We do an AP2 though.
Huh?
We do an AP2 though.
Yeah, but we don't use cat, we use all physio
We
wax.
use, yeah.
We have real hearts to look
Hearts.
at, and we have the syndavia you look at.
Oh, Ashley said that we were using hearts next semester, like real
We
hearts.
did that, yes.
Yeah.
But when we get to other systems, we'll look into syndavia and you can
Oh,
look
yeah.
at it, see what it looks like.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Well, you guys that had me before looked at the muscles of the syndavia.
Yeah, and the veins.
Right, but we didn't do veins.
We didn't do veins, but we looked at them. I know.
Just gotta be important, what you do. Okay, so what would be an imbalance, pleurisy, or peritonization imbalance? So a homeostatic imbalance means you're not staying in a normal internal environment. When your body doesn't do that, you're sick.
Mm-hmm.
So one way to keep yourself from getting sick is enough rest and wash your hands all the time. Eat smart, so you keep your immune system functioning.
I do 2 of those 3 things.
Huh?
I said I do 2 of those 3 things.
You do sleep.
I definitely don't eat good. But I haven't gotten sick in like a
Wash your
year.
hands.
Yeah, all the time.
That doesn't mean you can't get sick tomorrow.
No, also true. But I've been good.
Yeah. And then we break into, I'm not going to go into this in detail, because we'll do this when you get at the AP2. I'm going to waste time on that. All right. So what I want to do before we do anything else is call roll, and then go from there, okay?